What if Star Wars Episode 7 was good? Or at least better? I'm going to rewrite the sequels using as many of the original ideas as possible while also bringing in things from Legends and my own ideas too. Think of it like, what if I was the last editor to see the final draft of the script and given free rein to change as much as I want, but I still have to keep as many of their ideas as possible. It's a delicate balance, but let's give it a go. First off, let's not forget about the main thing about this movie. It's a sequel. And not just to one movie, but to a franchise. Two franchises in a way, because the prequels and the original movies and media both feel unique, despite having the countless threads that tie them together. Thus, this movie needs to do the same. Have a unique identity and vibe while maintaining the countless character, setting, and thematic threads that connected to the prequels and the original trilogy. With that in mind, this movie is going to take a lot of inspiration from the plot and approach of not just A New Hope, but also The Phantom Menace. They're both the beginning to a new trilogy, and just because it was a meme to hate The Phantom Menace for 2 decades doesn't mean it's not a part of this movie's history. But whatever, let's just get into the story. The opening crawl, as always, describes the state of the galaxy. It's been 30 years since the Empire finally surrendered at the Battle of Jakku, paving the way for a new republic. The reborn Jedi Order are building a temple on Hosnia Prime, the capital of the Republic, where they have a front row seat to the turmoil the galaxy is facing. Uprisings and insurrections are appearing throughout the Outer Rim. Meanwhile, in the unknown regions, the remnants of an old enemy has arisen to take advantage of the chaos. The First Order, led by Lord Snoke, claim to have a weapon that will help them reform the Galactic Empire. Movie 7 then begins with the First Order from their Starkiller base. In this version, Starkiller base isn't a planet, but a Death Star-like orbital station. For fun, let's say they built it out of an actual moon that orbited the First Order homeworld of Ilum. Starkiller base is deployed to the planet Jakku, where the Empire surrendered and where the First Order are going to begin their grand campaign. We take the point of view of FN-2187 and FN-2003, 2 stormtroopers who are attempting to flee the base with plans on how to destroy it. They've been disillusioned by the First Order, seen them raid helpless worlds for supplies like thugs, and believe everything they were taught about the Order is a lie. As they try to escape, they're chased by Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, who kill FN-2003 after Kylo does that cool Force laser block thing. FN-2187 is able to board a ship thanks to his friend's sacrifice and escapes. However, in the shuttle is an Imperial droid named BB-8. The bratty little droid tries to thwart FN's escape, taking over controls as the base fires on them. The ship is hit by a turbo laser and crash lands on the surface of Jakku. During the crash, BB-8 downloads the plans FN risked his life to steal, and before he can retake them from the meddling droid, the ship breaks apart in 2 and crashes on 2 different parts of the Jakku desert. FN-2187 survives the crash, but he's alone. Alone and wounded in the desert. He's stuck in the wreckage and assumes he will die, having failed to warn the Republic of the First Order threat. However, he's rescued by a scavenger named Rey. She's still an orphan who was abandoned on Jakku by her parents and hopes that one day they will return to her. She's the one to give him the name Finn, and he tells her what's going down. That Jakku is done for if they can't find a way to retrieve the plans from BB-8 and get them to the Republic capital of Hosnia Prime. Rey agrees to help, and when Finn tells her where the other half of the ship crashed, she knows exactly who has BB-8 by now. The Tito. The Tito are a Jakku native species really similar to the Jawa. Rey and Finn travel to the Tito and speak with their leader, Tito. Every member of the species has the same name, and they communicate with each other telepathically, so usually there's only one Tito to speak to outsiders on everyone's behalf. Our heroes try to haggle with Tito the Tito for BB-8, who's restrained but still been a real hassle of a prisoner. He's really bratty. Finn gives an impassioned speech about how their planet is in danger, and how his friend died so that they might have a chance to live. However, before a deal can be made, the village is attacked by the First Order, led by Kylo Ren and his knights. Our heroes manage to escape, with Tito taking BB-8 and leading them all to a ship graveyard. They find the Millennium Falcon, having fallen at Jakku during the Battle of Jakku, and use it to escape. Their goal is to take BB-8 to Hosnia Prime to find help for Jakku from the New Republic. As they try to get past the First Order blockade, it seems like they're going to get shot down, but Rey takes over the controls from Finn. Even though she's never piloted a ship before, she's somehow able to do it. The Force whispers instructions to her, a voice she can barely hear. And they're able to get through the blockade with only their weapons taking heavy damage. Kylo is pissed, killing a soldier out of anger. He orders a First Order assassin to follow them and kill FN-2187, Captain Phasma, who says she'll have no trouble tracking and eliminating the disobedient stormtrooper. As Finn, Tito, Rey, and BB-8 travel to Hosnia Prime, Rey frees BB-8 from his restraints and cleans him up. She wipes off his Imperial markings to reveal the orange underneath. Huh, you weren't always such a bad little droid, were you? And BB-8 begins to warm up to Rey because she's shown him more kindness than the First Order ever did. The group arrives at Hosnia Prime, the capital of the New Republic, but they struggle to find help. None of them have ever seen a planet like this before. Rey and Tito have never even seen a tree before, let alone a city like this. Finn starts going up to people asking for help, being like, I'm a stormtrooper, I stole the Millennium Falcon, will you help me? And surprise, surprise, they get arrested. However, someone high up intercepts the arrest, and they're taken to the Republic Military Command where they meet with the head honcho, Admiral Han Solo. Our version of Han is much more like Kirk in the Star Trek movies, a former carefree daredevil captain who's now an admiral stuck behind a desk. He's a pretty depressed guy when we meet him, and he obviously doesn't go into details about his past and why he's not the Han we, the audience, remember him to be. Also, at Republic Military Command, we could have cameos for Admiral Akbar and General Syndulla if we really want to. Anyway, Han meets with our heroes with his right hand, Poe Dameron, who's a very by-the-books, classic, traditional Republic soldier type. He's very skilled and honorable, but lacking in experience. The two listen to Finn's story and check out the plans in BB-8's. Poe doesn't believe a word of it, and he even says the plans look fake. Remember that for later. But Han believes them. He says he has a friend in the Senate that may be able to help them. Senator Chewbacca. Finn, Tito, and Han take the plans to Senator Chewbacca, but Han suggests that Rey go to the new Jedi Temple being constructed to ask the Jedi for help. BB-8 decides to go with Rey because he's warming up to her. Senator Chewbacca listens to them with C-3PO acting as his translator and agrees that something must be done, but he can't get any support from the Senate. The Republic has its hands full with revolts and insurrections all across the Outer Rim, and some say a dark force is behind these uprisings, led by someone called the Dusk Queen. They have a lot of contradicting information about this figure. On some worlds her influence does good, on others it turns everyone towards violence. None of the Republic senators believe the First Order is as big a threat as this. While this is happening, Rey and BB-8 go to the new Jedi Temple, which is being built after their first temple on Yavin 4 was destroyed a few years ago. Maz Kanata is a Jedi in our version because why not? She teaches Rey about the Force and its history and gives her a lightsaber, why not be a Jedi? She leads this temple's construction with non-Force acolytes like Lor San Tekka, very Heir acolyte from Legend of Korra because there's really not that many Jedi. While the true leader of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker, is in the Outer Rim dealing with these uprisings. After his failure in the first temple, Luke is really stretching himself thin to make up for it and help the Republic. There's a lot of pressure on our hero's shoulders these days. As Rey speaks with Maz about the Jedi, its history, and the Force, she gets a weird feeling. A feeling that Finn is in danger. Han, meanwhile, is furious that the Republic will do nothing to help, as he knows, from what our heroes have told him, that Kylo Ren is with the First Order. He is dead set on handling this and is talking to everyone he knows, trying to call in favors and get support, but, no one's listening. Finn is working with Tito to get the Falcon as fixed up as possible, and Poe comes by to offer to help. They get to talking, and Finn wonders why this Kylo Ren is such a big deal to Han, and Poe tells him that Kylo Ren is the one who destroyed the temple on Yavin 4, where Han's son was training. Poe says that Kylo killed Han's son, Ben Solo. As this happens, Phasma appears and points a blaster at Finn and Poe, who are outside repairing the Falcon. Tito is inside, but the weapons aren't fully functional yet, so he can't do anything. Finn asks how she knew to come here and find him, and she says it was easy to find them, as FN-2187 has a tracker in him like all troopers. She's about to execute Finn when Tito unleashes the Falcon's fire suppression system or something, and covers the platform in smoke. Phasma begins firing on them blindly. They duck for cover, and Poe tries to fire back, but he can't see her either, and he really doesn't have a lot of experience in battle. Finn takes Poe's blaster and closes his eyes, calming his mind, and is able to fire and hit Phasma with his eyes closed. Poe is pretty shaken when they see her body. She is undeniably a stormtrooper assassin. Still think the First Order are no real threat? Finn asks him. We then cut back to Starkiller Base and Kylo. He has a tracker on Phasma as well, and he sees her vitals go dead, and he slams his fist down in anger. He reports this to Snoke, who isn't fazed at all, and orders them to continue your assault or something like that. He's really micromanaging Kylo and kind of pissing everybody off, especially with how unfazed he is by a failed mission. Afterwards, the Knights of Ren whisper dark things to Kylo when they're alone in their room. Snoke is nothing. You're strong. You're great. You destroyed Jedi. You're the great destroyer, stuff like that. It gives the impression that they're Sith corrupting Kylo, despite him being the leader. Back on Hosnia, after Phasma's attack, everyone's back together in Chewbacca's Senate office. Rey's happy Finn's okay, saying she sensed he was in trouble. He describes how he sensed Phasma in their fight, and they exchange notes on sensing things with this whole Force thing. Chewbacca, speaking with them, knows that the First Order are a genuine threat now. He's able to rally enough support to refit the Falcon with top-of-the-line new weapons, and he also gives them some vital information. He analyzed Finn's info on Starkiller Base, which, like all super weapons, has a weakness. Funny that. Apparently a small assault squad could take it out, and he tells them of one such team who would be willing to help on the planet Takonda. While the refits are being finished, Rey goes back to the Jedi Temple, this time bringing Finn, but he's pretty distant and doesn't engage with the Jedi very much. He feels very out of place amongst the Jedi, since he was a stormtrooper after all. Maz senses great potential in Rey and wants her to stay to train, but she can't stay. She has to go back to save Jakku and destroy Starkiller Base. If Jakku falls, they won't be able to find me. Who? My parents! Maz understands and gives Rey a lightsaber, not Luke's, and also a holocron to help center her mind, telling her to commune with it when she can, and giving her no further details about this object. Remember this for later. As Rey leaves, Finn follows close by, happy to be back on their mission and out of the temple. Rey gives him the lightsaber, saying Maz must have meant for him to have it. She wouldn't know what to do with a weapon like that. I'm just an orphan. And after defeating Phasma the way he did, despite believing a former stormtrooper doesn't deserve to be given Jedi favor, he wonders if a lightsaber is in his future, and reluctantly accepts it. They all regroup in the Falcon and discuss the plans to go to Takonda to recruit this assault team. Han shows up unexpectedly, wearing his old smuggler clothes, and says that he's going with them. The Falcon finally came back to him, and he's not going to turn his back on her. That's thematically relevant because the last her that left him was Leia. He's got abandonment issues, it's a thing. Poe shows up too and says that where Han goes, he goes. Who else is gonna keep you alive, old man? Han treats Poe kind of like the son he lost, which is kind of messed up and puts a lot of pressure on Poe, but that's why he tries so hard. Following Chewie's information, they go to Takonda and assemble a small fighting force of retired rebel squadrons. These former rebellion soldiers and pilots now run a supply organization to help fringe worlds, many of which have been raided by the First Order themselves. They learned from Han and became smugglers with hearts of gold. When our heroes arrive, these former rebels are being threatened by some thugs, let's say Bala Tik and the Guavian Death Gang, and Han strolls in and handles them with ease, showing he's still got it. Just like old times. Everyone there is happy to see their old leader, and Han rallies together this last rebellion assault team to finally finish the Battle of Jakku. We left our last battle unfinished. Let's go get those Empire scum. Why is he cowboy? While on Takonda, Rey meditates with the holocron, but it doesn't seem to be working. She can kind of hear a voice, but everything's muddled. As she gets frustrated by it, just stuffs the holocron in her belt. On Takonda, our group can ask Han more about why he's helping them so much. He can then give them the full backstory, but he's still vague on some details, so we can have the reveal that Kylo is Ben later. Okay. He tells them how his son fell to Kylo Ren when he destroyed the temple on Yavin 4, and how his loss caused his wife to go into exile. He hasn't seen Leia since that day. FYI, we'll find this out later, but Han knows Ben is Kylo and so does Leia, but they all agreed to keep that secret for Luke and the Jedi, okay? It's not important now, we'll get to it later. If the movie needs more action, we can have some First Order soldiers and fighters assault the planet, finding them because of Finn's tracker again. Kylo wouldn't be here, so no kidnapping of Rey, but Finn can have a fight with FN 2199 here. After the fight, Finn can even dramatically cut himself with his lightsaber, destroying the tracker, literally and figuratively cutting himself off from the First Order once and for all. After this, the last rebellion squadron, led by the Millennium Falcon, makes its way to Jakku. The team returns to Jakku and begins assaulting Starkiller Base, which is in orbit above the planet. Since our version of Starkiller Base was actually made out of a moon, we can have a funny line here where someone's like, "That's no moon, that's a space station." And then someone else can be like, "Actually, I think it's both." Just funny lines. Han, Poe, and Tito fly the Falcon to distract the First Order fleet, and Rey, Finn, and BB-8 land within Starkiller Base to overload the energy core or some sci-fi stuff. They all encounter First Order fighters and soldiers, with Kylo attacking as well. Finn initially tries to hold him off using the lightsaber, but he gets his ass handed to him. Rey then steps up, taking the lightsaber, and fights off Kylo. She tells Finn and BB-8 to finish the mission, and she'll hold off Kylo Ren. Like her piloting the Falcon through the blockade, she has a natural affinity with the lightsaber, and is actually able to keep up with Kylo. She can sense his attacks before he unleashes them, and even Kylo notices there's an odd connection between them. Poe, Tito, and the squadron are facing heavy resistance, but the quality of the enemy ships is pretty low, so they're doing okay. When he and Tito fly the Falcon during their assault, Poe is very uptight and annoyed and by the book. He's like, "Bravo leader, you're out of formation by 1.2 degrees, and according to the manual," and Tito cuts off his mic and is like, "Everyone, just fly towards the giant station and don't die." They're a fun, banter-heavy duo. BB-8 sends them an update that Rey is holding off Kylo, and they're continuing with the mission. Han hears this and gets into an escape pod on the Falcon, and sneaks his way onto the base to face his son one last time and try and save him. We cut to Rey and Kylo fighting, and it's getting really intense. Rey is getting angrier and angrier, and she's just like wailing on Kylo, like no form, no skill, just total emotion. She's able to knock him down and knock off his helmet, and just when she's about to do something very dark-sided and kill Kylo, she starts to hear a voice. It's faint, like when she was meditating by the holocron or piloting the Falcon through the blockade, but it does become louder. A cloaked figure appears nearby, standing half in light and half in shadow, and tells her not to give in and not to give up on Ben Solo. She looks down and sees Kylo's face for the first time. He's a boy her age, and he's clearly very frightened. She realizes immediately that this is Han's son, the one he lost. And as she hesitates, the fear on his face turns to anger, and he force pushes her and knocks her out. Finn and BB-8 get to the energy core, but it's defended by the Knights of Ren, who are pretty effing strong and using really weird weapons. No blasters, no lightsabers, and no force powers either. It's really weird. Eventually Han shows up and is able to blow up a bridge or something that keeps the Knights away from them, killing one of the Knights in the process. Kylo drags Rey towards Snoke because he sensed something strong within her, and he also could feel a connection between them in their fights. Snoke acts like he can sense it too, and is like, "I'm gonna pit you two against each other, and whoever wins is gonna be my new apprentice," because that's what he thinks a Sith would do, like Sidious. "Yes, one of you will be my new apprentice." Kylo's pissed off about it, and he's calling Snoke on his bullshit. He has been messing up since day one. Kylo says he can't sense any force from Snoke, and he's tired of listening to some sad old man, and he cuts him down easily. Snoke is ultimately just a fraud. He's not even force sensitive, let alone a Sith. While Kylo strikes down Snoke, Rey is able to escape. After we discover Snoke is a fraud, we go back to Finn, who, thanks to Han cutting off the Knights of Ren, is able to go and overload the energy core, but he can't. The base doesn't produce nearly enough energy. It's a phony. A big fat phony. Poe wasn't wrong when he said the plans looked fake, because they are. The base doesn't produce enough energy to destroy a ship, let alone a planet. No wonder it was so easy to sneak aboard. It was all terror tactics to try to rally systems to support this new, revived empire, but they don't have any real power. Snoke isn't a Sith, and Starkiller Base is just a shell. Remember when I said everything about the First Order is a lie? Han manages to still set the explosive with help from BB-8, but he tells Poe and Tito that the base doesn't have the energy to trigger a big enough explosion. They're gonna have to fly into the base and unload the Falcon's plasma, or some sci-fi thing, which will be able to trigger a big enough explosion, also thanks to the Falcon's brand new shiny weapons. It may not be a real Death Star, but it is still full of weapons and First Order soldiers, and it can still be used as a symbol to rally Empire support, so it's gotta go. Poe worries about Finn, Rey, and Han most of all, but Han tells him to do it. Don't worry, they'll find a way off the base. Rey rejoins Finn, Han, and BB-8, and together they make their way to the hangar. However, as they leave, Finn takes a moment to look at the one dead Knight of Ren. Most of his armor's been blown off, and what Finn sees underneath is very odd. They're an alien species Finn knows for a fact is not in the First Order registry, and he's covered in markings that are very not Sith. He takes the Knight's strange weapon when he flees. Many First Order people are abandoning their posts as Morale takes a dive, so the hangar's packed, and once there, they see Kylo Ren is waiting for them. A similar scene as the movie plays out, with Kylo ultimately killing Han, his father. Rey, Finn, and BB-8 escape, and the Knights of Ren show up to take Kylo away as well. Poe and Tito succeed and blow up Starkiller Base. Kylo and the Knights escape, and the Falcon picks up Finn, Rey, and BB-8 in a First Order escape pod or something. Poe wonders where Han is, and they tell him what happened. Admiral Solo was killed by Kylo Ren, who is his son, Ben Solo, turned to the dark side. Poe turns white from shock, Rey is numb from it all, and Finn is very distraught because this is the second time a friend has sacrificed themselves so he could escape that base. They return to Hosnia Prime, where they're met by Chewie and Maz. Though they defeated the First Order, Kylo Ren escaped and was able to kill Han Solo. A massive funeral is held for Han on the planet, and an unexpected guest arrives. Luke Skywalker. He's with R2-D2 and asks to meet with those who finally defeated the Empire, especially wanting to talk to those who fought Kylo Ren. He meets with them, but Rey doesn't tell Luke about the vision of a cloaked figure or the connection she felt with Kylo. Luke doesn't notice that she's hiding anything because he's too distracted by Finn saying the Knights of Ren were a strange species he'd never seen before. Finn has a weapon of theirs that he took in the fight, and he brings it out to show Luke, and Luke is like, huh, that is very strange, because I have the same weapon, and he slams a weapon on the table that looks just like the one Finn took. I got this from an uprising on the other side of the galaxy. Whoever or whatever are behind the masks of the Knights of Ren, I think they're to blame for all of this chaos. This then cuts to the Knights of Ren, who have put Kylo in a tank to heal him or whatever. They remove their masks to show their scarred, marked, damaged alien faces. They contact their leader and tell him the First Order crisis didn't incite a war like they had hoped, but they saw a girl with a connection to Kylo and to the Dusk Queen. The leader says, "Good, that girl may be the final piece we need to defeat our enemy in the shadow. Capture her, and we may finally defeat the Dusk Queen and begin our invasion. War will come to the galaxy. The Yuuzhan Vong will destroy them all." We end the movie as the Knights of Ren, secretly the Yuuzhan Vong, chant their war cry. The camera pans out, and we get a shot of Kylo alone, Rey surrounded by friends, and the cloaked figure she saw in her vision, who turns her head to reveal the face of Leia. Credits. And that's my rewrite of episode 7. I tried to use as many of the locations and characters that were in The Force Awakens as I could, imagining that like the sets and the costumes were already designed, so like we have to use them. I feel like Dakar's sets could be repurposed for parts of Hosnia Prime, and I think Unkar Plutt is the only notable character I just cut completely. I basically replaced him with Tito and did a ton more with them. I found it odd that they left the planet without a Jakku native to make saving the planet that much more personal. Tito's kind of like this movie's Jar Jar, mixing a bit of Meowth-style snarkiness, which adds a non-human element and a different dynamic to the group. As for what comes next, I don't have it all figured out, but I do know that the next movie will see the Republic invaded by the Yuuzhan Vong, which are a threat from outside the galaxy that are uniquely not connected to the Force, and our heroes are going to discover that Leia is the Dusk Queen. Even in exile, she couldn't sit still and has been attempting to inspire worlds in the Outer Rim using her connections and Force powers, but the Yuuzhan Vong have been corrupting her messages, using her legend to inspire violence to prep the galaxy for their invasion. This is what's been creating the contradicting image of the Dusk Queen as both a figure of inspiration and of terror. Rey will find Leia with the help of Kylo Ren after he discovers he's being manipulated by the Yuuzhan Vong to incite violence and help them find Leia. That's going to be like a whole thing. The two are going to learn about the many sides of the Force from Leia, and that's going to help in the war to come because Finn, Luke, and our other heroes are going to fail to stop the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. Movie 8 and 9 will thus bookend the Yuuzhan Vong war in the same way that movie 2 and 3 bookend the Clone Wars. It's going to keep alive the tradition that the second and third movie in a Star Wars trilogy always has a time skip. Although I don't have all of the details of movie 8 and 9 fleshed out yet, I do have an idea for the titles of these movies. Star Wars Episode 7, An Echo Unheard, Star Wars Episode 8, The Shadow Invasion, and Star Wars Episode 9, Remnant of the Force. These titles mirror the trend of past Star Wars trilogy titles. The first movie is 3 words and is less specific and more thematic, and begins with an article, the, a, an. The second movie is very physical and conflict-focused, attack, strike, invasion. The third movie is 4 words, the second and third words are of the first word begins with R-E, and the last word is a highly recognizable Star Wars word. Sith, Jedi, Force. An AI could write them, but an AI can't write the scripts. Not yet, at least. Unless you're fine with the quality of the movies we got.